Tired of driving all day, getting bored, listening to the same music over and over again? Well, stick around, because in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 things that I do to keep me entertained while in the car driving Spark all day. I'll make it quick for you guys so I don't waste your time, right? The first one is music, obviously. Second one is podcasts, audiobooks, listening to the radio, and then sitting in silence. That's it. That's pretty much the video. If you want to stick around, I'm going to go into more detail. So sit back, and enjoy the video. Now, these 5 things are what I do, but if you have any more ideas, put them down below in the comments of what you do to pass the time while you're driving Spark all day. So the first off is music. So music is obvious, and that's pretty much what your general interest is. The apps that I recommend is definitely Spotify and YouTube Music. I actually have a YouTube Music subscription, and I use Spotify for my podcast, but it's also good for the browser discover tab. They have these tabs where you can actually discover new music. Listen to a new song 3 to 4 times, and if you don't like it, move on to the next. But you got to keep an open mind when it comes to trying new music, because if you listen to the same music over and over again, you're gonna get bored a lot faster, right? So keep that in mind. And the next one is definitely podcasts. This is my favorite because whatever your interests are, whether it be cake design, cooking, restaurant, chef, investing, money, cars, tires, national monuments, history, any world history, anything that has to do with whatever your interests are, type that into Google and then put podcast at the end of it. So for me, I like celebrity interviews. Not celebrity, but more like business owner interviews. That's what I like. I listen to them, and that's what interests me, and that gets me through the day. Now when I get bored with that, I move on to my audiobooks, which is the third one now, guys. The third one is audiobooks. It takes a little time to adjust because you're not used to it, and it is a little bit costly to actually pay for an Audible subscription or any audiobook subscription, right? It's going to be a little bit costly, but it's definitely worth it, because if you've always wanted to read that book that someone recommended, or maybe a book that's going to help you, like self-development or money books or stuff like that, those are definitely a great option, especially audiobook wise, because they're so informative and they really dig down deep to get you going. The next one is radio. That's mainly in the morning. Radio talk show hosts, they're so funny. They just talk about the most random things. They tell you news, you stay updated, and that's something that I recommend as well. Now, if you're bored of every single one of those, the last one is definitely silence. Now, what do I mean by silence? What I mean by silence is, when was the last time you just sat there and actually thought of life in general, who you are as a person, where you want to be in 5 years, what are you going to do when you get home? Our mind nowadays, especially with social media and just having our phones in our hands, you just lose sight of what's important a lot of the time. So you really have to keep track on who you are. And this silence time, I usually set a timer for about 30 minutes, and I try not to listen to anything and just sit in silence. So sitting in the car in silence is the best time where I get my most ideas. And if I get ideas, it's mainly to do activities with the kiddos, what I have for dinner, what am I going to do, the tasks that I need to get done, how I'm going to get those tasks done. Today's session of silence was literally me making this video. I was like, what am I going to talk about? Let me go over it. Let me repeat it. Let me go to make sure it sounds good for you guys. And that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you hit that like button if you learned something. And don't forget to write down below any other things you guys do in the car, because my mind is definitely open when it comes to trying new things.